Hi, and welcome back. This is part two of our video series, sharing a message of help and hope to those of you out there, especially our fellow colleagues in the healthcare professions who have been greatly impacted over the past couple of weeks by what's happening in our country and across the world and in our economy. We'd like to take this opportunity to dive a little deeper into the science behind the technology that we alluded to in our first video. In the first video, we wanted to tell you that there was something out there that you could share with yourself, your family, your friends, that's going to help boost their immunity, but also possibly help you develop a side gig, as our famous Dr. Bill Williams likes to say. So, it's always best to be prepared. And we've had a wake-up call right now that preparation is key. So you may have found yourself not as well prepared as you thought, or maybe not thinking that you needed to be as well prepared. But now let us show you something that is going to help you do that. And let us get into a little bit of a science behind redox signaling molecules so that you know why we're so excited about this, especially in these trying times. So Dr. Lee Osler from Richland, Washington, a state that's been greatly impacted recently, and Dr. Bill Williams, both dentists. Dr. Bill Williams is out of Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Bill, Dr. Lee, I'd love for you guys to talk a little bit about the science behind redox signaling, what you've seen, what you've experienced, and why you think, especially right now, this is such an important field. Dr. Lee, you want to start? Or?
Sure. People will naturally ask the question, what's the big deal? What does technically, what does a supplement do for me in terms of not just what's going on in the world around us, but it has the ability to allow my body to restore itself to a more healthy plane or platform. And that's really the breakthrough that made this whole conversation possible, a decade ago. Was in the early research, we were trying to find a way to create the same signaling molecules that the mitochondria make inside a cell that are what's responsible for what we call gene expression, for communicating, for signaling, for directing the affairs of the DNA and the nucleus. For a couple of decades now, we've had a great fascination with DNA, everything DNA. The Genome Project, and knowing what your DNA is and what diseases are in store for you based on your DNA. And what has been largely ignored until just recently, or at least less understood by the masses for sure, is that it's not so much the DNA that's important, it's about what the DNA is told to do or not do. We call that gene expression. And the science, this is very basic. It's been well known for a long time in terms of cellular biology and molecular biology. It all starts with the mitochondria, which has its own set of DNA instructions. But the mitochondria is an important part of the health picture, and mitochondrial dysfunction or mitochondrial inefficiencies, which are created by toxicity or disease and so forth. That's at the heart of the basis of everything that we're talking about here. So that breakthrough that came in the science labs, literally, that allowed researchers to create and stabilize a bioidentical redox signaling molecule out of saline, which is what our mitochondria do. That was a pivotal point in really, I think, the history of healthcare moving forward. Because that's what controls our DNA, is the epigenetic overlay on the DNA that creates the instructions for how we heal, for our immune systems, for stem cells, for all the metabolic pathways that go on inside the cell.
Thank you for that. So basically, we're talking about mitochondrial health and actually having something that bolsters that, if you will, or maybe even a biohack around that, because our mitochondria not only are affected so much by aging, but also by the toxicities in our environment. So this is a way to kind of overcome that or right the wrongs, if you will. And would you say that redox signaling molecules are kind of the secret language of our cells, how they communicate, how they make all of the reactions in our bodies happen?
Well, the communication in our cell is all done via molecules passing electrons back and forth. if you get down to the atomic level, that's how we communicate. We're thinking very cerebrally right now with our brain, but our cells speak by transferring electrons. And in the mitochondria, the very powerhouse of what makes energy is called oxidative phosphorylation, or the electron transport chain. And it's at that really subcellular level, as we've all been taught in basic biology classes since high school, that this whole process gets started. It creates our energy, and now we understand it's through that process that redox, or reduction oxidation molecules, are created. These are the same molecules that our immune system uses to fight infection. They're the same molecules that are used to go to the nucleus of the DNA, where the DNA is, that instruct it. And so the redox, or reduction oxidation molecules, are what's responsible for signaling the cellular processes that restore health and balance. And once that's done, then the cell has a chance to do what it was designed to do, and that is to be balanced and to be healthy. And that's really, you use the word biohack. Fortunately, that's exactly what this is. It's a biological hack, if you will, to replenish or restore the balance of signaling molecules that aren't there anymore because our mitochondria become dysfunctional, or because through age we are less efficient, like 10% a decade less efficient, which is why we age and get old and we wrinkle and we don't recover as quickly, is because we have less of those redox signaling mechanisms happening.
That's what comes to mind to me too, Lee, is the anti-aging effect of regaining homeostasis. We get out of balance, the redox reaction is off, there's too much oxidation, stress in the body, and we need to replenish that. We're basically entropic systems. We're falling apart. The older we get, the more we need to replace what we're losing in the mitochondrial DNA area. And aging is basically losing your ability to create the redox balance that we need.
Let me just one more to piggyback on that, because there's some people that might be asking the question, what makes this different? Like what is so unique about what we're talking about? And the point is that in some regards, it's not all that unique. This is basic biology. And there's a lot of what we call bio-oxidative therapies out there that will help improve cellular health and cellular processing. And I give them all credit. We have to give credit where credit is due. But the reason why they work, the reason why cellular health is improved, is because of their effect on the mitochondria. And my case in point is, we've talked forever about lifestyle medicine, lifestyle measures, everything from healthy eating, a colorful diet, exercise, good sleep, stress reduction, and even some more sophisticated strategies. For example, pulsed electromagnetic therapy, magnetic fields, vitamin D, ozone, chlorine dioxide. I mean, all of these therapies. I forgot lasers. We use lasers in dentistry, a lot, but they're all bio-oxidative at their basis. And what that means is that they enhance cellular health because they're improving mitochondrial efficiency. And when the mitochondria become more efficiency, however that happens, they produce more redox molecules. So if I'm exercising, I'm naturally improving mitochondrial health, as well as the downstream effects of redox signaling. So we give credit to all of those. What's different with what we're doing is we're simply saying, instead of making the mitochondria itself more efficient necessarily, what we're doing is we're replacing in the cell the very substances that the mitochondria are creating in the first place, the redox signaling molecules themselves. And suddenly, it's like filling the gas tank back up with energy. You've now got the exact bioidentical molecules that the cell can then use to rebalance itself, which is what Dr. Bill was just saying. It's restoring that balance that creates health. And Maureen, you made a comment earlier about inflammation. This is an important concept from a toxicity point of view. The health professionals watching should or would know about nuclear factor kappa beta, NFKB. That is the inflammation pathway, and anything that activates that NFKB pathway is inflammatory or pro-inflammatory in nature. And what we've found with redox signaling molecules is that when they're replenished via a supplement source, they do not activate the NFKD or phase 1 inflammatory pathway. That means they're non-toxic because nothing goes to the DNA to activate that transcription factor that produces the cytokines or the inflammatory molecules that are associated with inflammation. Instead, the phase 2 pathway, the NRF2 pathway, that's going to be a buzzword going forward. And it's not a password. It's the nuclear, the NRF2 pathway that activates glutathione and superoxide dismutase production inside the cell. That's nature's way of balancing and protecting against inflammation. That's the key thing as to why this is so important, is that it creates an activated transcription factor that codes for these antioxidants like glutathione inside the cell. And what we know is we've got an increased, we've got an 800% improvement in that NRF2 glutathione pathway. That is phenomenal. That is extremely noteworthy, because the best you can hope for that I've seen published with other modalities is upwards of about 200% improvement. So we're like 3 times, 4 times that in terms of the ability to activate that healing NRF2 pathway.
Wow, that was so important, and thank you for talking about that. And basically, one of the things that you were alluding to was the study that was done about 2 years ago with Torrent Labs on the gene study. So showing what was affected, because this product has been around in our hands for about 10 years, although the technology was studied for about 2 decades before that. And we knew that it was doing great things. We had some studies that were done on athletes that showed that it impacted energy production, if you will, through maybe oxygenation, VO2 max, ventilatory threshold, things like that, and shifted metabolites. But we didn't actually know exactly how it was doing that. So as you were talking about that with inflammation, we found that there were 5 gene pathways that were actually affected. Dr. Bill, would you like to talk about that a little bit, about the 5 different areas that we have seen to be beneficially impacted by taking the Redox supplement?
Well, I see it personally. I see it in the patients that I treat, and I see it in the research studies that have been put out. So yeah, I can talk about it from 3 different angles. You know, you take a supplement that makes you feel better. You understand it personally. You start thinking better. You're sleeping better. So there's parts of the gene study that show that it helps in circadian rhythm. There's parts of the gene study that talks about better digestive function. And so we've seen a lot of people with issues of the gut that were significantly improved. A lot of people in my family, that one was a particular winner. We see people with circulatory problems and arterial stiffness and things that they seem to have some improvement. You'll be interested in this, Lee. I just got my blood studies back. I had a whole panel run before and after taking the supplement, and I'm way down on my cholesterol. I'm way down on my triglycerides. I'm so much better on my LDL, HDL, and even my testosterone score, which was low for 20 years, is now normal. Wow. I'm just telling you, there's things that happen to upregulate the hormones. There's things that happen to make the circulatory, the hormones, the inflammation pathways work better. I've always known I was under less pain, less muscle ache and joint ache. So I know the inflammation pathways are working. And you know, every one of those, the immune pathways, the 5th one, that we really look for a significant improvement in. You know, immune pathways right now are kind of on top of the mind of everybody, and it means a lot more to have a strong immune defense. And every one of these is impacted positively when we're supplying our body with enough redox signaling molecules to feed the gap where we're missing, where we're not quite as balanced as we would like to be, particularly as we get older. One of the things we know from the research is that every decade we lose about 10% of our mitochondrial ability to create these redox signaling molecules, reactive oxygen species. They're just not as efficient as they were. And so replacement is an essential part of everybody's need. It's not like some people need it and some don't. Every single person has cells. Every single person needs replenishment as they get older or sicker. Is that right, Maureen?
Absolutely. I have another physician on my team who says the bigger the fire, the more firepower you need. So we have seen that some people who have really big challenges, whether they're health challenges or athletic challenges, because we have a tendency as healthcare providers to talk more about the health challenges, but we have a lot of athletes on these products because they want to be able to perform optimally and have their bodies work optimally, have those cells doing what they need to do. As of course Dr. Lee so elegantly explained to us with the NRF2 and the mitochondrial function. I was so amazed in our last video, Dr. Bell, when you mentioned being 70, because I don't know if my face reflected. I was like, oh my gosh, you're probably one of the most high-powered, high-functioning people I have ever met. I mean, you don't ever seem to go to sleep. Every time I talk to you, you're traveling somewhere else. I can imagine right now being kind of shuttered in and staying at home is extremely difficult for you.
Yeah, cabin fever doesn't agree with me at all. That's why I'm sitting in the outdoor screened-in porch, looking out at the peach trees, the dogwoods. Atlanta's fantastic in March.
That's awesome.
I got to get out.
I have to say, I feel very fortunate right now to live on the coast. It's a 10-minute walk to the beach. So we've been going to the beach for walking our dogs for about an hour. And that's so important to do right now. But, I want to thank you both. I think, for our healthcare professional friends out there, especially those of you who have found your practices greatly impacted right now with what is going on in our country and around the world, and the need to social distance, isolate ourselves, and not use up the protective equipment, the personal protective equipment that is just such in high demand in our hospitals and all right now. A lot of people are suffering. And what we want through this series of videos that we're doing is to share something that has had a great impact on our families before this happened. But now we realize how important it is to share this message, because as Dr. Lee and Dr. Bill told you, this is going to impact, amongst other things, your immune system. And for those of you who understand the science, the NFR2 system, which is so key right now for our health. And we would love to send you more information if you're interested. We can send you a study or a summary of the gene study that was done. Epigenetics is such a hot topic right now, and to have a product that is 100% non-toxic to be able to positively affect your genes is a pretty amazing thing. So we'd love to share more with you. Get back to the person who referred you to this video or sent this video to you to watch to get more information, or you can contact us personally or go to redoxdentistry.com, redoxdentistry.com. We're going to have another video. This is number 2 in our series. Our next one will concentrate on the business that this opportunity presents, because we all found ourselves in a position not only to help other people with this, but also help our family and our bottom line, if you will, because sharing this can also be a business model for you. So if you're interested in that, look forward to our 3rd video where we'll be talking about how you can share this and how you can benefit financially from it as well. Thank you so much for watching.